have to change that. It's going to have to be updated. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is BiCrafty Bootcamp Triple Threat Tunisian. This is a Tunisian crochet course for beginners. So no, this doesn't make you try crafty. It just makes you a triple threat. You're still BiCrafty. Hello. So hi, everyone. I am Marley Bird. I'm joined here by my partner in crime. See which way?
Robyn Chachula.
I think I point this way. It's very strange because on my screen, you're over here. So I never know. I look like I'm doing Thriller.
We just do up, down, left.
There you go.
She's around there.
She's around. Hey, everyone. So happy to have you guys here. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to this, and I'm going to try and slow down my speech. I know I talk very fast, but the closed captioning will catch up with this. If it's not up right now, it is automatically made the settings on YouTube is so that it will automatically close caption my videos, so you will be able to get those. But hi, a lot of you are returning BiCrafty campers. Very happy about that. A lot of you have become knitters or become crocheters, and you are just tickled beyond means because you're all of a sudden making items you never thought you could make before. That warms my heart tremendously, especially as we are coming into the fall season and the winter season, preparing to make things for Christmas or the holidays in general. And there are so many of you this year looking at making items from the other craft. And so you're just like excited about Stash Busting Quickies coming up, about Turkey Trot coming up, about the brand new Marley Bird First Fall, where the information is coming, just so everybody knows. I'm hoping to get it out tomorrow. That's my hope. But you are just like, I don't know if I want to knit or crochet. Well, here's the cool thing. You can do both. And then after BiCrafty Bootcamp Triple Threat Tunisian, you could do all three. All three.
You can do everything. Let's just say all of the good stitching time is coming up.
It's just exciting. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let Robyn kind of jump in and talk to you a little bit about Tunisian. Like, what is it all about? Because we're getting people here, just BiCrafty boot campers that have been here before. We're getting people who are just doing a random search on YouTube of what is Tunisian crochet? You know, I'm an absolute beginner. Why should I take this course? When of course there are always YouTube videos that are real quick and easy and get right to the point. But why should people be here in BiCrafty Bootcamp with us? Specifically, you. You like that?
I mean, that's a great question, Marley. Why you should be here? Because we're lovely people. But in terms of expert level, that's where we are. So if you haven't seen me before, hi, I'm Robyn Chachula. I'm behind the scenes partner on Marley Bird. So anything that goes on, it's something that Marley and I are cooking up and doing. I don't get in front of the camera that much because I don't want to. But when it comes to Tunisian, this is something that's like near and dear to my heart. To the point where the very first thing I ever published was a Tunisian pattern. So starting my career, I don't want to say how many numbers, but it's a big number long ago, before all of the books I wrote, before any of the TV appearances. Tunisian is what really got me into the craft. And pretty much any book that I publish, I try to put Tunisian in because it's just such a wonderful craft. But you might be wondering, like, what is Tunisian? Because a lot of people like to group it in with crochet, in that you're using a crochet hook, but it's a very special crochet hook. And for me, that's fine. I don't really care if you talk about knitting, if you talk about crochet, whatever group you want to put something in, I don't care. I just kind of group everything together. It's just you need different tools. But with Tunisian, you get a completely different fabric. So I like to talk about it in terms of what fabric are you getting. So I wanted to show you a couple of examples just so you have an idea. Because like once you see them, then you can kind of like pick it out. It's almost like, think about knitting. When you see a stockinette stitch anywhere, you're like, that's knitted. Crochet. If you see the granny square, you're like, that's crochet. Well, Tunisian is like that too. So for instance, what we're going to be working on is a pot holder. It's a swatch. It's just, I like to call it something. You can call it a washcloth. I don't care. Call it whatever you want. I like making a swatch that I can then use. I don't like making something that I'm not going to use, but that's just me because I'm crazy. But if you look, do you see all of these straight lines? That's like the dead giveaway that this is Tunisian. Some people called it railroad crochet. Some people called it embroidery crochet because they would use these straight lines and then embroidery over them. It's been called many things over the years. And I should like preface that. When I say over the years, I mean like, you know, over 100 years. It's been called lots and lots of different things. But some fancier, some cuter things. Our next project, what we're going to do is a cute little headband, which will be our next lesson. Then moving around and up, another really pop of color. This is a cowl that we'll be making. It almost looks like it's woven. You know, it looks like a completely different fabric, where this one kind of looks like it's knit, but this one looks like we wove it. That's what I find really cool about Tunisian, is that you get all these different fabrics, but they're all the same thing. Okay, some more examples. Here is a scarf of mine that, again, if you look real close, has all of those little lines. The telltale sign is these little straight lines. But from far away, honestly, this could be crochet or it could be knit, but it's Tunisian. For game day, we made these great hat. And then if you got the pattern, you got gloves. Again, telltale, you got the straight lines on it, but it looks knit because you can do something that looks like knit on the bottom, but it's not. It's just something else fun to do. Okay, more examples. The other cool things, we've made lots of sweaters. I've made lots of sweaters. What I love about this is in crochet, you can do detailed seaming, but in knit, it's a lot of fun to do that seaming. It's the same way in Tunisian. You get to do a really beautiful seam, and then it becomes a standout part on your raglan. I like those. I like those little detail type of things. More things that look like it's kind of woven, or more hats. I love making hats. I'm just like Marley. I love making hats. Tiny little hats. And in Tunisian, it goes fast. It could be that I just get addicted to making it. I don't know, but it goes fast and it's a lot of fun. So one last thing I wanted to show you so you kind of get an idea of what we're doing is this is an entrelac baby blanket. But you always, you know, from far away, it could be anything. But when you get up close, you can see all of those straight lines. That's the telltale. This is Tunisian. All right. So, Marley.
So I wanted to stop here for just a second because people be like, all right, great. So that's Tunisian, but what are we doing with BiCrafty Bootcamp? How do we start? So I want you guys to understand the link to today's lesson. This is lesson 1. It is in the video description box below, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, it is in the video description box below. Okay. And that will take you to this page over on my website. And you can see here, it's the BiCrafty Bootcamp Triple Threat Tunisian Crochet for Beginners. We will gradually fill in more and more information on this page as we go. Let me go ahead. I'm going to refresh it right now because I did just add today's video on here. But as we add more information, maybe we're going to add more information about, you know, what is beginner Tunisian. Excuse me. But
the one big difference is you'll notice when you've done boot camp with Marley before, she always gave you a list of all of the yarn that you're using. We're going to give you the list of all the yarn for the other couple projects, but I didn't want to give it to you for the first lessons, mainly because we wanted to talk to you about Tunisian hooks.
Right.
Right.
And I'll fix this to where we don't have like all these ads between here. Like that's not supposed to be like that. I usually, I will group things together. Whoa, I accidentally clicked a link. So, but that is.
I mean, it went to my book, so I mean, it's not a
That's
bad
because
thing.
I have it linked here, because in this book there are Tunisian stitches that Robyn has done, as well as basic crochet stitches, and it does come in Kindle format, which is the one I think I linked to, if anybody's interested. Very basic stuff. What is Tunisian crochet? This is the video you are watching right now, and then right down here, as we start talking about Tunisian crochet hooks, you can find links to our preferred hooks right down here. And these are all affiliate links. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Doesn't cost you anything more. It's just that we do get a bit back from that. Now, I will tell you, the Chaigu and the Knitter's Pride, we linked those to Jimmy Bean's Wool because we did want to support another yarn store as much as possible, but they did not have Clover. So the Clover link goes to Amazon, but the Chaigu and the Knitter's Pride links go to Jimmy Bean's Wool because we definitely wanted to try and support a local yarn store as much as possible. You can find all the information we're going to talk about today. If it's not in there right now and it's something we need to add later, it will be in here. Okay. So this page here in particular is going to be important for you for lesson 1 because it has your pattern. Has everything you need for today's pattern. Okay, guys? So if you have been here before, you know how this works. We like to bookmark our pages that we need to come back to in the Marley Bird bookmark on Chrome. So we use Chrome, and you can see up here in my bookmarks, I have lots of different bookmarks, but the Marley Bird bookmark, you can't see it. When it's a drop down, it drops down. I have a bunch of links in there. Okay. I have a bunch of links in there. And all you need to do, if you come over here and you grab this little, like the lock sign and just drag it to your Marley Bird folder, it's now, I wish you guys could see it, but I guess because I'm sharing a screen or a particular page, not just the full screen, you can't see it. Right. But now this page is in that drop down folder. So I don't ever have to go looking for it. It's always just right there when I need it, and it's easy to get to. That'll be very useful for you. Another thing is, if you're here on YouTube and you want to create a playlist for BiCrafty Bootcamp Tunisian, add a playlist and add this video to your Tunisian playlist. It's a really great reference video to go back to. So I wanted to make sure I get all of those details out of the way before Robyn jumps in, because when she gets on a roll, she's on a roll. So I think the next step here, Robyn, I think you're getting ready to go into hooks. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where we're
laughing at me. You're laughing. You guys, Robyn was here this weekend and we had so much fun. I don't know if you're on Instagram at all, but I'm on Instagram. I'm starting to really love Instagram, and I'm sharing like some random pictures that we've had throughout the weekend. And one of the pictures is just so touching because my daughter got it and it was with us laughing. And it's just so fitting because that's what we tend to do a lot, is laugh when we're together. Just really hearty, soul-fulfilling laughter. It just feels really good. Anyways, let's get back to Robyn. I'm gonna let her be the star of the show again. Jeez, Marley, stop talking. All right, here you go.
No, that's okay. So I just wanted to give you kind of a glimpse at what you can do and how to spot the projects, because as we go through Tunisian Bootcamp, that's a big deal, is how to spot projects that you like and what stitches they use. The goal with Tunisian Bootcamp is to give you the basics. So then it doesn't matter what we're doing, whether it's turkey trot, tournament of stitches, game day, you're going to have the basis to do all of that step. For instance, like if you bought Camp Color Work, we want to give you just the building blocks so that you can jump into all the Tunisian stuff in Camp Color Work as well. Because there's not a whole lot that you need. You just need this little starter pack, is how we like to look at it. All right. Now, with all of that, the main thing you need is the Tunisian hook. And there is 8 million different kinds of hooks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch you over. I'm going to switch our views so that you can see all of the different hooks. Because if you looked on the web page, I took a picture of some of my hooks. But there is so many more. It's a little overwhelming, because in my mind, because I've been doing it for so long, they're not all the same. I have huge opinions about Tunisian hooks, and all that to say is I don't care what you use. I just want you to understand what you have, if that makes the most sense. So what a lot of people have from their grandmother, they're sitting around, they have these straight Tunisian hooks. My grandmother had a ton of these aluminum hooks. The main thing with the Tunisian hook is that they all have the exact same diameter for the entire shaft of the hook. They could be plastic, they could be aluminum. It doesn't really matter the material. These are fine. What you need when you do a Tunisian hook is you need the length of your project. The hook can be a little bit smaller because the loops all squish up. You'll see I don't ever use these guys. Even though that this one is nice and light, this one's actually heavy. When you do it a lot, what you'll be doing is you're going to be twisting your wrists quite a lot, and it puts a lot of stress on it. So if your hook is heavy, then imagine all of your yarn on it. It gets really heavy to use. So I don't use these a ton. Now, if this is all you have, we'll grab it and use it. I don't mind. But let me show you some other options. So these are the straights, and you'll notice we don't even talk about the straights on the page just because they're fine if this is all you have, but they're annoying. They fall, they're a pain in the butt. Let me show you some other options. So one of the ones that we have for you that's linked are these interchangeable Knitter's Pride. This is made out of, they're all made out of wood, and they come with a cable. So the cable makes everything that you're doing much lighter because it's a lot less material that you have. I personally like wood or bamboo because it's nice and light. Now, they come with a key so you can twist them up nice and tight. But the one thing is the major thing that I always try to teach people about is your cord, when it's connected to your hook, needs to swivel. And on these Knitter's Pride, they don't. Now, needs. They're a lot easier if they swivel because you're twisting so much. It'll put less tension on your hands and your wrist if they can swivel. This one doesn't, but I still use it. I still like it. Now, we got this great one that was just made by My Two Ladies Knitting. This one swivels on its hook. It's made with this gorgeous wood. Very nice. It's a little bit heavy, but it's great. The one thing you'll notice is how the top of your hook, kind of the angle of your actual hook. So if I compare it to the last one, this one is really, really sharp, while this one is a little bit, has more of a curved head. This preference is up to you. I really like heads that have a point at the top, but when it comes to my hook, I don't love it when they are so pointy down here because I end up splitting my yarn. But this is a preference. This is like you try it and you're not sure. All right. So many more. Now, let me show you ones that we really like. I have them all wrapped around me. These guys are the Clover hooks. They twist. And you know what? When Marley was linking it on Amazon, they're on like a super sale. They're like way over half price today, which I was like, wow. These guys, like if you want to invest in hooks, these or the Chaigus, you know, they're the ones I would recommend because the bamboo is the lightest to use. Because when you're doing Tunisian, you're going to have all of your loops on your hook, and you want to make sure that those loops can slide easily, which they can on the bamboo. You You want to make sure that your hook is nice and light so it doesn't add any extra weight to your hands. And you want the swivel. So these guys are pretty awesome. I love them. We also have in there our Chagus. And yes, they pretty much look the same. There's not too much difference between the Clovers and the Chagus. Their heads are slightly different shape. Itty bitty, which you'll never be able to tell.
Hey, Robyn, just real quick, I'm adding the link to the swivel cord to our blog post right now. So
that's what I was just going to. Amazing. So the one thing that I love about the Chagus is that they have made it so that it works with their swivel cord, and their cords are really nice. It's like a steel braided inside of its casing, and they spin. These are super nice to use. There's nothing wrong with these plastic guys that come with Clover. They're fine. They swivel too. But these last so much longer. So in terms of like top of the line, the Chagus are like the top of the line. Like these are the Ferraris of what you got. But listen, there's so many more out there. So the Clover and the Chagus are our favorite because they're light and they're bamboo. But what if you have the Denise plastic hooks? Great. Use them. These guys are interchangeable. They come off. They don't swivel, but they're incredibly light. They're made from plastic. Use this. If you like it, use it. I'm all about whatever you like. Lantern Moon made some really pretty ones. They don't swivel, but they have that nice cord on the end. You know, very cute stoppers. Use these. They don't swivel, so that's why I'm not a giant fan of them. But hey, I'm all about whatever you guys want to use. Now, Boyd makes these ones that are half wood, half metal. They don't have swivel hooks, but you know, if you got them, use them, right? Like whatever floats your boat. And then Tulip also makes really great bamboo ones that swivel as well. They just keep on going. Now, the one thing that you don't need today, but we're going to talk about, is when you get a hook like this, where it has your cable, but it has two hooks on the end. This is for double-ended Tunisian, which we're going to do in one of our lessons at the end. So there's only one time that you need a hook like this. But you don't have to go out and buy a special one that has a hook built in on either end. That's kind of the brilliant part, is if you invest in an interchangeable set, what you can do is you can put two different hooks on the end of cables. So it can actually make you a double-ended crochet hook. So you don't have to go out and buy a specific one. And we'll talk about it when we do double-ended, that they can be two slightly different sizes. It's okay. You won't be surprised that I have 8,000 hooks. But you don't have to be crazy like me. You can just buy one set. For everything that we're doing, for the pot holder, for the headband, for the cowl, you need one crochet hook. All of the same crochet hook will work for all of these guys. It can be a cable one, or it can be a straight one. For our very last lesson is when I'm going to want you to have a double-ended hook. But for all the rest of this is just going to be whatever hook you have laying around. And again, the main things I want you to think about when you're using it is, one, how hard is it working on your hand? Because now, granted, when you're first using a hook, it's going to feel uncomfortable on your hand, but it shouldn't give you extra stress. You want to be able to crochet for an hour without any extra stress. If you are getting a lot of extra stress, think about, does it swivel? and how heavy is it? And if either of those are no, think about getting the other kind of hooks. But when you're just starting off, I want you to use anything that you got laying around. What do you think, Marley? Do you have any questions on all of these hooks? See, what's funny is because we talk about this stuff all the time, and Marley just goes, okay, Robyn said I needed this, so that's what we're going to do.
My mic was on mute. I'm sitting here talking. I'm like, what the heck? No, I did want to say something. I know, like some of you are going to be like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Maybe you get on Amazon and you see some of those cheap sets that are like the wood with the really thick plastic. I'm going to deter you from getting those. Don't waste your money. Like you're literally just wasting your money. Don't do it. You're better off just getting that little bit of extra something and going with that. It's just that's my own biggest like chunk of advice there. I do have a question for you, Robyn. The tulip Carry Tea interchangeable bamboo Tunisian hook set. Somebody was asking about that. So I was just about to link that.
Yeah, the tulips are great too.
Okay.
The tulips also swivel.
Okay, so, I didn't know that. All right, so I'll grab the Amazon.
I really like the bamboo. I use it the most.
See, I'm not a bamboo fan, so that's just me. But
I know, which is crazy, right? I don't use this in knitting, and I don't use this in crochet.
Yeah, bamboo and we're not really big fans, but it works. So it'll go through it. But I just wanted to make sure, because I get it. We all look at those deals. You're like, man, I could just get a whole bunch of this. You're just wasting your money. It's just don't do it. Don't do it.
That's okay. For teaching, when I was teaching my Girl Scouts, I would buy the really, really cheap plastic ones with a cable that you can get on Amazon. They like cost like $1 a hook. It's like nothing. It's fine if you're just starting out. So it's totally fine. But I will say, if you worry about any strain on your hands, I'm not worried about strain on, Girl Scouts. You might want to invest in something a little nicer. But do know that they are more expensive. And there's a reason for it. After years and years or years and doing it, I always watch my hands. I always worry about the stress I'm putting on them. All right. That was a lot of talking. I feel like now we should get to like doing something. Yeah. So let's do something. This is a lot of talking.
I do. I'm going to pop over here real quick. And Kara says that she has the Denise hook set. I don't know if it's the Tunisian set or if it's is it just, I don't know.
It's probably the plastic one that I have. They're great. They're nice and light. Give them a shot.
There you go. Gio Sanchez Samano, she agrees cheap hooks are a waste. And yeah, I'm just saying, I'd rather spend my money on something that I know I'm going to have some value there. I did add links over here to the comments, but all of the links, I've been updating the blog post as we go along. So I put the tulip link in there. I put the swivel links in there. They're also in the comments if you guys are interested in those. They do get a little bit pricey when you get to the tulip.
They are.
Just a heads up there. Let's see here. I have the Knitter's Pride set.
Take a deep breath before you look at them.
Yeah. Let's see here. Rose says, I broke my right wrist a couple years ago and the Denise stresses it a bit. So I need something better to take care of my hands. Now, here's something interesting. I have very big hands. We've talked about this before. I have very large hands. So because Denise to me was the first company to come out with interchangeables.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I went and bought them at the store and I tried to use them, but the needles themselves, these were the needles. They were so short that they would cramp my hand. Oh. So Denise needles are no good for me. Like my hand is too big for them. I wonder if it would be the same for the hooks.
I don't know. I certainly have crocheted a number of things on my plastic Denises before the Chaigus existed.
Right.
And they worked fine, but it's one of those things I was like, ooh, was it younger hands and wrists?
Right.
Could have been. Could have been.
All right, so hold on. I'm looking just really quick for the links. I've added all the links are in the video description box, everybody. I'm scrolling up really quick. More connection with me about the anti-bamboo. So your go-to set is the Clover set, correct?
My go-to is the Clover set.
All right.
Yeah. The Clover Takumi is my go-to. That's the one I go to every time.
I love this.
I like these Chagus a lot too.
Okay. So Dawn says, I never knew what a double-ended hook was for. Me either. I literally asked, I think it was, oh gosh, I can't remember her name. Oh, but she always uses double-ended crochet hook and she did a lot of Tunisian. Her name it'll come back to me. But I was like, so what do you call one of those hooks with the hook at both ends? She's all double-ended crochet hook. And I'm like, okay. All right, smarty pants. That's what that's all for. I get it now.
Yeah, double-ended is for going in the round.
Yeah.
Double-ended is to do cool stuff too, but it makes going in the round 100% easier. And that's
awesome.
that's what we'll do in a little while.
All right, cool. So those are all the questions that I'm trying to get through them. So I'm kind of here wrangling questions and stuff, guys. So if you have any as she goes along, let me know and I'll pop them up on screen and try and get her attention to answer them. But it looks like we're going to do, I wanted to do this with you. I have my yarn. So she is using Lily Sugar and Cream. And I grabbed the We Crochet Dishy yarn to try and do this. I mean, and I have my Chagu set. I have my swivel cords. I have everything ready to go. Maybe I should take a picture. This is what starter kit right here.
Not a lot of good stuff there.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to let you go full screen and I'm out of here.
Okay. All right, so we're going to get started. And for all of my Tunisian classes, I start with foundation stitches instead of starting with chains. For instance, whenever you're starting your project, you're going to chain however much you want, just a regular old chain.
Terry, I'm going to let you know, you don't have to get the spin cables for the Chagus. They just are recommended because it's easier on your wrist. The T spins do not come with the swivels.
They don't come with, at least that's what they told us.
That's
they may change their mind because we were very vocal.
Yeah, just so you know.
They really should come with it.
Yeah, we've let them know. You're not quiet. Sorry, go ahead, Robyn. I'm sorry.
No. So this is how most Tunisian starts. You start with a chain and then you're going to pick up some loops. I don't like starting this way. And the main reason is you can see my swatch right here. When you're unblocked, it curls. This is unblocked, no curl. And this can be super frustrating if you're brand new, you think you're doing something wrong. No, you're not doing anything wrong. It just hasn't been blocked. The reason what happens here is all of these lines, we are going in the same front loop the whole time to make this simple stitch. And it basically just pulls at the top. The back is nice and loose and the front is pulling, pulling, pulling. So for me, I like to start with a bigger, thicker base. I don't like to start with a chain when I'm working. I like to start with any kind of foundation stitch. And I mean any. So if you have done a whole bunch of crochet and you want to start with foundation single crochets, go ahead. Any row starts better. So I'm going to show you foundation slip stitches. I do it in every single one of my classes because I'm a little bit crazy about it. But listen, you do not need to start any Tunisian project this way. You could just block this.
It's just like stockinette and knitting, everybody. If you're a knitter, it's the same sort of idea. The stockinette knitting is always going to curl towards the knit side.
So this is a way to combat this. But some people love it. Some people hate it. So I'm putting it out there. Don't hate me, but this is the way I like doing it. And this is all written down for you. What you do is you're going to do as many of these as you would do a chain. And for right now, I'm actually, Marley was lying. I'm actually using Marley's yarn right now because whenever I'm teaching, I like using Chic Sheep.
Sorry, guys. Hey, while I have you here, if somebody were to buy just one crochet hook, one Tunisian hook, what size would you recommend?
So that's a fantastic question, because the stinker part about it is that you need a hook that's between 2 to 3 sizes bigger than what the ball bend recommends. For instance, when I was doing, I was using sugar and cream for the pot holders, washcloth, whatever you want to call these guys. I was using a K hook here. I'm using a K hook also for Marley Chic Sheep. So for me, you know, these both are worsted weight. And so this would be about 3 times bigger. As
So
long as it's bigger,
millimeter.
as long as it's 2 to 3 times bigger, sizes bigger, it's going to work out for you. Just don't use the size that's recommended, because then it's going to be so dense, your hands are really going to hate you. But it's a fantastic question.
Yep. All right. Keep going.
All right.
I'm trying not to interrupt, I swear.
No, interrupt. I don't mind. This is totally, I don't mind. All right. So these foundation slip stitches, again, you could just do a chain if you want. What I do is I chain 1, and then in this back bump, I'm going to insert my hook. So with a chain, your top 2 loops, this is your free loop, but you got these top 2 loops here. And then on the back side, you have a bump. So to start off, you need to insert your hook into this bump, yarn over, pull up a loop. And you only do that for the very first one. So you have 2 loops on your hook. What you're going to do is yarn over and pull through both of those. When you pull through the first one, that is making a chain. And when you pull through the second one, that's making a slip stitch. So you're going to yarn over, pull through these 2. Then you're going to insert your hook into the base of the stitch you just made, and I'll show you that again and again. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through those 2. All right, so base of the stitch you just made. If you look at your work, the top part that's closest to your hook, that's your top. The base is the part that's furthest from you. So there is like a little horizontal line. That was made when I pulled through the first time. It's quote unquote my chain. So I'm inserting through there. It's almost like I'm inserting to make sure I have 2 strands on my hook before I yarn over, pull up a loop. Then I yarn over and pull through these 2. And again, when I pull through the first one, I'm pulling through, making a chain. When I pull through this guy, I'm making the slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through these 2. Another way of looking at it is this is just a single crochet on its side. So I'm jamming my hook between this leg and this leg, pulling up a loop from behind, then yarning over, pulling through 2. Let me do this again. And you can see it's fat and ugly. You wouldn't use this in regular crochet. There's really no reason for this. No crochet starts with slip stitches. It's ludicrous. But in Tunisian, it makes a nice fat line, which you actually don't end up seeing. And it gives you some weight to what you're doing. So even if you're a beginner, there's no reason why not to start with something that's going to make your life a lot easier later on. But yes, I get it. This is next level, but there's nothing I can do. I got to show people. I can't help it, Marley. I'm a stinker. Okay, one more time. You're going to put your hook between these 2 legs, yarn over or pick up a loop from behind, however you want to look at it. So you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through these 2. Insert your hook from behind, pull up a loop. It is just like when you do a foundation stitch in crochet. You're going into the base of the stitch, yarning over, and then finishing off. In this case, it's just yarning over, pulling through 2. So you would do that forever, however big, long you want it to be. All right, we got enough to start. So this is just so that when we come and we turn, because remember this along here, these lovely lines, this becomes our chain. That's our base. So when we turn our work, the top, the part that was closest to our hook should be the top, should be where we are going to grow our rows from. And it's all twisty and doesn't look like anything, but don't worry, it's going to pop to the back of our work and we don't ever see it. Now I'm going to start it off of here. I'm going to start our Tunisian simple stitch off of here. Then I'm going to pause and start it off of a chain so that you can have it either way. And you can give this a try later on, because as homework kind of things, I love it for if you could try it this way and try it the other way, then you can, trust me that it does curl less doing this. All right, Tunisian simple stitch. It's the most basic stitch in Tunisian. We will use it all the time. Basically, each one of these guys is a stitch, and we're going to pick up a loop in every one and leave it on our hook. And we call it the forward pass. I'm going to write that down. So what we're doing is row 1, forward pass. All right. The stitch on your hook counts as your first stitch, so you don't go and pick one up there. Then you're going to go in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, into the next, yarn over, pull up a loop, and you just keep doing that across. When you're doing it, you want to keep a pretty even tension. So you want to make sure that like not one of these loops is, super bigger than the other, but don't get yourself super worried. It starts to self-regulate as you're going. So pick up a loop, pop it on your hook. Because basically what's going to happen as it wiggles on here, the yarn is going to self-regulate, and so you won't have too many going around. When I'm holding this and going on, you'll notice that I will hold on to the very last stitch that I just did and kind of have it move with my hands. I'm using this hand, the one not holding the hook, to kind of do the work, to kind of work in and around these stitches. And so when you get to the end, this would be your forward pass. You don't have to go in that little chain that started us all off when you're doing the foundation slip stitches. So these move nice and freely. These all will end up being our vertical bars. All the loops on our hook will be eventually called our vertical bars. But let's just pause a minute and show it if we're working back off of this chain. Let me grab another.
Hey, Robyn, I don't know if you're going to eventually talk about this, but are you going to discuss gauge?
Yeah.
Our most favorite thing ever.
Yeah, we'll talk about gauge next time.
Okay.
Because this time, I just want everybody to play. I don't care if it's, listen, it's either going to be super tight and you're going to hate yourself, or it's going to be super loose. Not many people have it perfect the first go around.
Okay.
But don't stress yourself out.
Okay.
The gauge for Tunisian matters a ton more with the hook size of your hook than with your tension. Your tension has a little bit to do with it. But for the most part, because these slide around on our hook so much, they actually even all out. So your tension, once you've done it a few times, will be with your hook. Okay. So what if you were starting from a chain? When you're starting from a chain, you can insert your hook in this back bump if you want. So you get a nice V on the bottom. You could insert it into the top chain here, anywhere you want. For me, I'm going to insert it into this the top loop of my chain all the way across. So I already have a loop on my hook, which means we'll skip the first one. And I'm just going to insert my hook into the first chain, pull up a loop, put it on my hook, insert into the next chain, pull up a loop, put it on my hook. So it will say yarn over, insert your hook. But you'll notice the way I hold it is I'm holding my yarn and my chain with the hook that's not holding, with my hand that's not holding the hook. And so when I come across this, my yarn that would essentially do the yarn over is already sitting there. So I'm using my hook to pull it through. So I'm inserting my hook, you essentially yarn over and use the hook and shove that yarn in so it can pop up. So insert your hook, and then when you're grabbing, you can see the yarn is going to hide in the top of your hook and you can pop it through. If it is your very first time doing it, when you insert your hook, sometimes what you want to do is turn your hook down so that your actual hook part of your hook is not grabbing on that chain. And again, if you're super, super tight, it just makes it a little bit hard to get through these chains. But you insert your hook into the chain, yarn over from behind, pop the loop on your hook, and then they just stay there. All right, so it's really a preference if you're doing a back bump, if you're doing the top bar, however you want to do to set this up, that's just a preference on you. Between the two, you can kind of see how these foundation stitches look versus these chains. You can see the chain has this tiny little delicate edge, and the foundation slip stitches have a chunky edge. I like chunky in general. What happens is this had the delicate little edge and there's nothing there to help it. It just curls. And this is a swatch from my encyclopedia. You know, here it was all at one point blocked out really nicely, but you can even tell that, you know, that book, how old is that book? 10, 12 years old? I forget how old.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that they start to curl back up. There's nothing, I didn't do anything to this. It's just, it said, nope, my natural state wants to curl again and doesn't want to lay flat anymore. And that's just how Tunisian is. All right, this was our forward. So from here, now we work on our return. So every row in Tunisian is made up of a forward where you put all the loops on your hook, all the loops which end up looking like all of these sitting here, and a return. Basically, the way I like to look at the return is what we're doing is we're just putting a chain around each one of these loops on your hook to lock them in so that they're locked in and nothing, they can't go anywhere. For our purposes and for the pot holder, I'm going to change our color. You don't have to change your color when you're doing your swatch. You can just use a regular color. One, it looks really cool, but I want to be able to talk about what's going on. So it's going to be a lot easier for you to see it if it's a different color. But you can just keep using your same color if you want. I'm only changing my color on this return just so we can see really the different parts of the stitch, because a lot of the Tunisian that we'll get into is understanding what we're looking at. All right. To return, I'm using a different color, so I'm just folding it over, but you're going to yarn over and pull through that very first loop on your hook. So just pull through one. Now for all the rest, you're going to yarn over and pull through two. This is called working the loops off as normal. Yarn over, pull through two. yarn over, pull through 2, the whole way around. We yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now, if I pause and look, if you take a quick look, here is our chain on top. You got those 2 top loops and you got a bump in the back. When we yarn over pulling through 2, we are literally making a chain around each one of these loops, which ends up being a lot easier when you think about it, because a lot of Tunisian books will call it, instead of the chain, what they call these is your horizontal bars. The vertical bars make sense. These loops that were on your hook, they're all vertical, so that makes sense. These horizontal bars, yeah, they're horizontal, but really, if you pull it apart and look at it, it's a chain. You have the top of your chain, the bottom of your chain, and your back bump. It's just a chain. And as we go through, or you do different projects with me, where you stick your hook in each one of these places, whether it's a vertical, whether it's the top, they all make a different stitch. So kind of like crochet, depending on where you stick your hook, you're getting a totally different stitch. It's the same here in Tunisian. All right, just to reiterate, what we have going on is we have these loops that are on our hook. These are our vertical bars. The one that's popping out looking at you that you can see, that one, which is, change my color, which is these guys, those are our front vertical bars. Then you have essentially a chain going in between these guys. Those are called your horizontal bars. We'll get into those later, but I want to break it apart just so you have it in lots of different forms and lots of different ways of seeing it, what these are. And if I pull it apart one last time, you have our vertical bars, which is these guys that are sticking out at us. And then in between, we have a chain for us in yellow. All right. On to round 2, row 2. This is where we repeat and it gets real fun. All right. What we're going to do for Tunisian simple stitch is we're just going to go in this front vertical bar the whole time. So you're going to do just what you did when you're picking up from your foundation, but now it's easier, which is what I like. What I like to do when I start is, as you're going, you probably will notice that one side will be stretched out. So your front will be stretched out. So I like to give it a little extra pull and make sure my very first loop is tight. I don't know if you all can hear Lehigh, my dog, but she is very unhappy that I am hanging out with Marley as usual. So just ignore her. She's fine. She needs nothing.
Yeah.
Just not giving her attention. Nice. All right. So we're going to go into these vertical bars to pick up a stitch. So I'm just going to insert my hook. Now I don't go through the fabric. That's a different stitch. I just go in the top of the fabric and insert my hook into the first vertical bar, then yarn over from behind and pull up a loop and put it on my hook. Insert my hook into the next vertical bar, yarn over, pull up a loop. And you're going to do that all the way across. So this is Tunisian simple stitch, where you're only working in the front vertical bar. You're inserting your hook from the right to the left. If you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, you're going to be inserting it the opposite way. And picking up a loop and putting it on your hook. So you insert, yarn over, put the loop on your hook. Insert, yarn over, put the loop on your hook. When you get to the end, you just go through the last one, put the yarn on your hook. So you can see when you have the loops on your hook, when you finish with row 2, it's almost like it made, which it does, makes row 1 all finished. Row 1 really wasn't finished until you started row 2 because it stretches out all of your stitches from below and you really get a nice look to it. All right, just for clarity, I'm going to change my color here so that you can see when I'm working it off. So I'm going to go back to the green. To work them off, for the very first one, you yarn over and just pull through this very first loop. For all the rest, you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. This will put a chain. I like to think of a chain locking these guys all into place. So now row 2 had yellow vertical and a green top. Just makes it a little bit easier so you can see what you're doing. If you do want to change colors with me, when I was teaching my daughter this, how I did it, just so that every row she could see, oh, don't go into these guys up here, because it's kind of hard when you're first learning what is a vertical and what's not. So for us now, I'm going to start row 3. I'm going to insert my hook into the next vertical bar. For me, it's yellow, and pick up a green loop. So we're just working in the top. It's almost like your regular fabric is behind, and we just work in the top. We insert our hook from right to left because I'm right-handed, yarn over, pull up a loop on my hook. And we go all the way across doing that. If you are a tight crocheter, and it happens when you're first doing it, it's tight, they will definitely curl up more, because you can kind of think of these vertical loops like suspenders that they just keep want to suck that foundation closer to you, and you don't want it to do that. When you get to the end, you're going to, you could go through one strand. I like to try to grab 2 strands. You know, there's a green strand and a yellow strand just because I was changing colors, but you can go through one if you want. And that's all you do for Tunisian simple stitch. You just do it over and over and over and over again. What I would say is when you're working on it and you're working on your little swatch, be kind to yourself. You'll notice when you're doing it for the first time, a lot of times that the very first stitch, the one that was on your hook, gets to be looser, because if you think about it, this is like a lever. So we're always stretching out that first one. A lot of times this can get tight. Don't worry. It's just a little bit of practice and it'll all be nice and straight.
All right, I have a question for you from somebody. I'm not really sure what this means, so I'm going to let you, can you read it, or do you need me to read it to you?
No, the 2 to 3 size bigger only applies to a crochet pattern, but not a Tunisian crochet pattern, correct or no? So 2 to 3 size bigger means what is ever labeled on the ball band. So for instance, like they'll have on the ball band what they recommend for the sizes, and you want to go up from the ball band.
But if a Tunisian pattern gives you a size they use, you should use that size.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. So whatever it calls out, you should just use that.
Perfect. Yep. People are loving Lehigh is breaking people's hearts.
I know. It's really hard being a German Shepherd that can't get closer to your human. It's really awful is what she's telling us.
Deborah says switching colors makes this so easy to see.
I'm so glad you feel that way, Deborah, because that's definitely how it feels like to me.
It looks like I might have something missing here. So do you see that?
Well, it looks like one of us has deleted row 2.
I'm looking.
It was there this morning, but that happens.
Oh yeah, it's
maybe it's one of those, it got cut off.
row 2 and there's nothing there.
Okay.
We'll get that filled in.
Yeah. Row 2 is just pick up a stitch and go. Pick up a stitch and go.
Do you want to read it to me? I'll just write it right now. What do I write? I don't know how to write a pattern for this.
I can write it.
Okay. All right. I was going to write. Okay. It'll be there. Sorry. It just says row 2 and there's nothing left after it.
That's really funny. I'm sure it just got deleted between you, me, and Chrissy.
Yeah. Okay. That's hilarious.
Many cooks in the pot.
Yeah.
So for your swatches, we did use cotton, whether you're using Dishy or sugar and cream. But for instance, like if you're like me and you're trying it with some other yarn, you can still use this as a washcloth or whatever else. The only thing I wanted to recommend is if you're using acrylic right now, don't use it as a hot pad.
No.
It'll completely melt. Acrylic melts.
You can, but your stitches will melt.
Yeah.
Because I've done it.
You can certainly use it as a washcloth. There's nothing wrong with that with acrylic. But it's not going to work out for you.
Right.
Oh, it's even funnier because she has her ball under her water bowl. And so that's German Shepherds for you. Too scared to go get it.
Awesome. That looks really great. And so the instructions for the edging there for that little hanger bit and stuff is all written in the pattern.
It's all written. Yeah. So
cool.
Make it however big you want until you're done. And then just put a single crochet edge along it. And then I did an extra slip stitch so it stays together. And that's done.
Oh, B. Kern, thank you. You could have this hairstyle as well. It's a lovely wig. It's like the best. Wigs are the best, y'all. And if you don't know it, so many people wear them. You would be shocked how many people have hair extensions or wear wigs or do all sorts of things. So this is a wig. Look at this. This is so fun. Whoop. It's just unbelievable. It's like, seriously? I don't know. Done. It's fun. Anyways, thank you very much.
All right. So before I leave everybody, the last thing I want to say is that once you get this is from our Camp Color Work doing color. You're already ready to do this. One lesson in and you can do this. Because this is just all Tunisian simple stitch and you're just changing your color. And so it's kind of cool how quickly Tunisian gets you really far. Really, really far. What I was saying before, a lot of people would make a cloth like this and then with all of these lines would use it as a grid and embroider on top of it. So even just with one little class of practicing, there's a lot of different things you can do with the Tunisian simple stitch to kind of be even more fun. But what I have to say is this is what my entrelac blanket was. This is just all Tunisian simple stitch. And when you change the colors how we are, even just doing something like this really makes it look like it's woven and it just gives a really pretty effect. No one needs to know that it's like the simplest thing that you can do because they don't need to know that. But this Tunisian simple stitch I find to be just so relaxing. So if you need something that's mindless and easy, this is what I usually point to, and just changing your color when you start the return.
You can find that pattern, by the way. A lot of people love that blanket pattern.
Oh, yeah. We can link to this.
Okay. All right. We can do that.
Perfect.
There's a couple of general questions coming up. If you want to go back to your face, I think there are questions that we don't have to do.
So you don't have to see my hands anymore.
No, I don't think so. Not at all. All right. Let me go back over here. What do you guys think? How'd we do? Lesson 1 of BiCrafty Bootcamp Triple Threat Tunisian for Beginners is complete. Just to kind of do some housekeeping stuff here. This is a 4-week class, right? 4 weeks is what we decided? 4 weeks. And then after this class, there will be an expert level course that we will put on the Marley Birdhouse. That will come out in spring of 2023, just to give you guys kind of a time frame. That's what we're aiming for. But this will get you started so you could make a bunch of different little things. And then we're going to go into cables and lace and just a bunch of stuff.
There's so much more that you can do in Tunisian and kind of blows your mind. But we really wanted to give you a basis for anything that we have been doing this past year. So if you wanted to do the tournament of stitches, if you wanted to do more in camp color work, if you wanted to do game day and turkey trot that's coming up, you'll have it. You don't need a lot. With crochet and with knitting, it feels like, you know, you need to practice more. With Tunisian, just go.
It's pretty easy stuff. So this is a 4-week course. Our goal is to do every Wednesday. However, next Wednesday is Yom Kippur. So we will actually be doing this on Thursday at 2:00 next week, just so you guys know, because we want to let our Jewish friends celebrate. And then we'll come back again to the following Wednesday. So we're trying to do all Wednesdays at, did I say 2:00? I meant 1:00. 1:00.
Eastern time.
We're trying to do Wednesdays at 1:00. The only exception is next week. It'll be Thursday at 1:00 because of a holiday. Let's see. All of the lessons will be on the Marley Bird website. So when in doubt, always go to marleybird.com and you could just go in the search and type in BiCrafty Tunisian and it should pop up. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can think of right now. If you're interested at all in camp color work, we've talked about camp color work a little bit. We've talked about game day and all that. You can find game day, tournament of stitches, and all the other things like that on the marleybird.com. If you're looking for camp color work, go to campcolorwork.com, or if you just want to see all of the courses that are available in the Marley Birdhouse, go to marleybirdhouse.com. Pretty easy, right? You can think about it and go right there. That's all happening. So we've been trying really hard to incorporate Tunisian into all of the make-alongs we've been doing. We will not have Tunisian in the Marley Bird first fall because I'm doing all of it and I did not want to do Tunisian. So I'm doing crochet and knitting because the bag is huge.
I don't even know how she's doing the crochet version, which blows my mind.
It's just big. So just so you know, the Marley Bird First Fall, which is coming up, which again, you'll be able to go to marleybirdfirstfall.com. And that is coming up. I'm hoping to have the supply list listed tomorrow, and you will have an opportunity to do that make along with us either free or get the VIP experience, which gives you all of the content in one place, really curated with some little bits of extra. So you'll have a chance to do that. We are testing out that method because we're going to move Turkey Trot into doing that as well. So this is going to be one of those fun ways for us to introduce more people to the Marley Birdhouse, because we love the aspect of the Marley Birdhouse, and we can have a whole discussion about the direction YouTube is going and how we like to teach. So Marley Birdhouse is where it's at. If you like how we teach, trust me, you're gonna love the Marley Birdhouse. I mean, how many I want to say housekeepers. I almost said housekeepers. How many housekeepers are in here? How many Marley Birdhouse members are in here? I know there's quite a few of you. I recognize a lot of names. So it'll be nice to have you guys there. Remember, we are BiCrafty. You're becoming a triple threat because Tunisian is another form of crochet. So you're still BiCrafty, but now you're a triple threat BiCrafty. And we're going to have lots of fun with this. So over the next, I guess, 3 more weeks, you'll learn something new. There is a project each week for you to tackle. I tried to get Robyn to give you the supply list ahead of time. She refuses. That sounded bad. I feel like I just ran the bus over you, and I did not mean to do that. It was not my intention.
It's okay. I will, nothing that we're doing is going to require a lot of yarn. So you're not going to need a ton of extra time to do it. You can do anything that we're doing with any yarn you have laying around. So that's why I wasn't like, you have to have this. You'll be able to use anything. But we will tell you what to use.
Eventually. No.
Eventually.
So we will have all of the lessons on the website each time. I went, as we were going through all of this, and updating that blog post as we were going along. So that way I added more links to the stuff we talked about. I added details about if you were just getting one singular hook. I tried to add all the little bits of information she was throwing out there. We will get row 2 put in there. No idea how that's not there.
I find it funny. It's okay.
Let's see here. Christina, did you see the comments Marley was sharing? I don't know. I don't know what the question was. Oh, I don't know. I'm looking. I don't know. I'm looking at the questions and I can't figure it out. All right, guys. That's it from us. Hopefully you enjoyed today's lesson and you will come back here for more. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Please hit the like button on this video and let us know in the comments of the video. If you're watching live, great, but in the comments of the video on Facebook or on YouTube, let us know what your favorite thing about today was, or let us know what crochet hook you're going to be using, the Tunisian crochet hook. We would love to know that because it's always interesting for us to go back and read through. So do all those things. You're helping us out by doing so, and we will see you guys all very soon. Bye, guys. Let me hit this, and there we go.